Hello, good morning, and thank you for joining us today as we proudly unveil our new twin-engine Bell 429 aircraft. I wanted to start by thanking the dedicated team that made this accomplishment possible. I want to first start by thanking our aviation program, Battalion Chief Bobby Thurston, our skilled pilots, and our maintenance team at Midpack Aero. Also our administrative team led by Assistant Chief Reed Yoshida, Battalion Chief Chris Cabasa, and their dedicated staff. This accomplishment truly reflects your commitment, your resilience, and your focus on advancing our department and enhancing the safety of our operations. So thank you very much. Also want to thank Mayor and his administration and the City Council. Their support and understanding of our mission is, is instrumental in actually making this project come to life. And this aircraft truly represents a long-term investment of our city in the safety and well-being of our community. Safety is a top priority at the Honolulu Fire Department, and I truly believe that our aviation program truly upholds the highest standards in maintaining our fleet to ensure that every aircraft and our pilots are mission ready at all times. And we're truly excited that this aircraft will become an immediate asset to our operations. The twin engine capabilities will increase efficiency and the capacity, which is essential for reaching remote areas, supporting firefighting efforts, and conducting search and rescue operations. And this is truly not just a replacement, but it's a significant upgrade to our current fleet. And this is the future of our department. Our plan is to slowly transition over time to have only a fleet of twin-engine helicopters because it's a much safer platform for personnel to operate on, and it's just going to provide a better service to the community. So again, I want to thank each and every one of you who was involved in making this a reality, and we really look forward to the positive impact that this aircraft will have on our operations and on those we serve. So I have Senior Pilot Dustin Harris come to the podium to say a few words.
Good morning. My name is Dustin Harris. I am one of the senior pilots here with the Honolulu Fire Department. And I would just like to thank all of you for coming out this morning as we introduce you to the newest member of HFD's Air Operations Group fleet, the Bell 429 that you see behind me. And just to echo Chief Howe's sentiments, I would like to say thank you on behalf of all the pilots and the air crews whose lives depend on these machines when we operate them day in and day out, to all the people that made this possible. Mayor Blangiardi and his staff, the City Council, Chief Howe, the administration of the Honolulu Fire Department, Chief Cabasa specifically for his work in this project over the last couple of years, and a big thanks to Battalion Chief Bobby Thurston, who's the program manager for the Air Operations Group, and I can personally tell you put in countless hours and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this project to ensure that at the end of the day when the aircraft got here, it was the right aircraft with the right equipment to allow us to do our job as safely and effectively as possible. I'll take a few minutes now just to give you a brief overview of some of the features of the Bell 429 that make it such an ideal platform for firefighting and search and rescue. And one of the key factors is the fact that it's a twin-engine aircraft, which simply means it has two engines both providing power to the main rotor and to the tail rotor system. It's essentially double the horsepower, right? We have two engines operating, and that gives us a huge increase in capacity and capability for the helicopter, and a safety margin. If we do have a malfunction or any kind of issue with one engine, if one engine quits altogether, the helicopter is still capable of flying on one engine to make sure that the flight crews and the passengers are going to get back to base safely. As operating with both engines, it does give us a greatly increased capacity over the rest of our fleet, and that directly affects our effectiveness in combating wildfires. The more we can lift, the more water we can carry. The water bucket for this helicopter is going to be 260 gallons per bucket as opposed to 96 gallons for the buckets we operate with our current fleet. So that's almost 3 times the amount of water per drop. And as you can imagine, if you put 3 times the amount of water on a fire in the same span of time, that's going to greatly impact our ability to quickly control and manage wildfires. The extra power supplied by the twin engine designs is also critical in search and rescue operations. It just gives us more power margins when we're operating, especially in the mountainous areas here on Oahu. The rugged and sheer mountains that we have here on the island, combined with the regular and strong trade winds, it's actually a really difficult environment to operate helicopters in because of the strong and changing winds and how they interact with the mountains. So having more power gives us a bigger margin to deal with those conditions as they change and keep the aircraft passengers and crew members safe while doing so. The way this helicopter is designed, the main rotor system, the tail rotor system, very strong, very efficient. Personally can tell you I got to fly this helicopter from Tennessee back across the country through the Rockies, range of altitudes, different conditions, and the controllability and the power that come from having the twin engines and the tail rotor that the aircraft has on it are really amazing from a pilot standpoint. Another key feature that's going to be involved in rescues is what you see behind me here sticking out from the side of the helicopter. That's a rescue hoist, and the simplest way to put it is it's a mechanical tool that is going to allow us not just to lower rescuers down to victims in remote areas in the mountains or in the water, but actually bring them back up into the helicopter. If you've seen us do rescues with the rest of our fleet, you might see a rescuer go down a line if you're hiking on Cocoa Head or somewhere up in the Ko'olaus. But when we fly away, that person remains suspended under the aircraft hanging on a rope, and they have to stay there. We don't have any way to bring them back into the helicopter until we get to a place where we can set them down and land. As you might imagine, it is much safer to ride inside of a helicopter than hanging on a rope underneath one. You can see the cabin is quite large in comparison to the rest of our fleet as well. And what that gives us the opportunity to do is when we bring somebody up, if they've been injured, if they've fallen, our crew members now have the opportunity to provide medical care, to dress wounds, to take care of somebody as soon as they're in the aircraft. The current fleet that we have, we can load people inside only if we're able to land, and even if we put somebody in the aircraft, there's really no room to dress wounds or to do any kind of medical aid or intervention. With this aircraft, we have room to put up to 2 stretcher litters in the back, or multiple people sitting with still room for our crew members to operate. So this cabin, in addition to its size, it's really easy to reconfigure. You can put seats in, you can take seats out, and you can do all that quite quickly, so it can be configured for firefighting missions, it can be configured for search and rescue missions, for disaster support statewide if need be. We can put up to 6 seats in the back to go along with the 2 pilot seats in the front if we need to transport personnel. So we'll be able to respond statewide with that large cabin. The aircraft is also very fast, and it has a large range. We got a large fuel quantity with it, so we can reach anywhere in the state quickly. So if there's a large-scale disaster, we would be able to respond anywhere to do evacuations, supply drops, or whatever might be needed. And one last thing to point out about this aircraft are the advanced avionics that you'll see up front. Simply put, there's a lot of tools on this helicopter that are going to aid us as pilots to reduce our workload, so we can focus less on having to fly and more on the mission, because the helicopter is helping us out in a lot of ways. If the weather deteriorates to where we can't see outside, this helicopter is equipped for IFR flight with a single pilot, which means we can safely navigate with just one pilot even when we can't see. Now, that doesn't mean we can necessarily go drop water or do a hoist rescue when we can't see, because you're close to the mountains, you do have to see a little bit. But if we need to get from point A to point B and there's no visibility, but there's something going on somewhere where the weather's clear, and now we can safely transit through areas of reduced visibility. And if we're out conducting a rescue, the visibility decreases. This helicopter has the tools on board to make sure that we get home safely as a flight crew, we can all go home to our families, and that any passenger, any member of the community that's depending on us for rescue is going to be safely brought on board, brought back to a safe place so they can go home to their families. And at the end of the day, you can't ask for more than that. And we're just really thankful on behalf of everybody who's going to be responsible for flying this aircraft to have the opportunity to do so. Thank you very much. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to the Honorable Mayor Rick Blangiardi to say a few words.
Thank you, Dustin. Well, good morning and aloha, everyone. Chief Howe. Yeah, I just have to say this before I get into my prepared comments, and you know it's a serious day when I come with prepared comments, but just had 35 little kids in my office doing the trick-or-treat Halloween thing, so I would be respectful to tell you this is better than anything on a trick-or-treat. There's a treat here that I know I know how much this means to the department and you. We've talked a lot about this, so to be here today, Dustin, thank you for the great insight and the narrative on the capacity of this ship. So this is great. So let me just start off by saying that I'm thrilled. I am really, truly thrilled to be here today as mayor and having this happen in our time in office. So first and foremost, I want to recognize the exceptional leadership and dedication of our Honolulu Fire Department, led by Chief Kalani Howe and Deputy Chief Jason Samala. I'd also like to acknowledge our Managing Director, Mike Formby, who's not here this morning, our partners in the City Council, a couple of whom are here, Val Okimoto, I saw Augie Telba, they're here, and everyone else involved in making this critical addition to our emergency response capabilities possible. The devastating fires that swept through Lahaina a little more than a year ago, and in fact yesterday was the 450th day since that fire, remind us daily of the need for readiness and resilience in the face of disaster. Our administration has always prioritized public safety as our core responsibility. The addition of the state-of-the-art helicopter is a testament to our commitment to protecting the people of Oahu. This investment in cutting-edge equipment ensures that our emergency response teams have the best resources available to them to serve our community effectively. This new helicopter is a game changer for our fire department. And for the first time in HFD history, our firefighters will operate a modern twin-engine aircraft, significantly enhancing our city's emergency response capability and its ability to respond safely and effectively. I have immense confidence in the men and women of our Honolulu Fire Department's leadership and their unwavering commitment to public safety. Their experience, skill, and dedication give me great confidence, assurance that with this new equipment, they will continue to elevate their ability to respond to emergencies, whether it's fighting wildfires, performing rescues, or ensuring anything that we need during a natural disaster. So I just want to say, on behalf of the city and county and as mayor, as a grateful public, thank you for everything you do. I am amazed at the bravery and the courage of the men and women of our first responder teams, but certainly our fire department and all it represents. Yesterday, we had an award ceremony for some of our firefighters, and Chief Howe took us through a PowerPoint presentation on all the things that they're doing. So I just want to say, on behalf of a very grateful public, the leadership, the intelligence, the capability, the resourcefulness of our fire department, the men and women, the people who live on this island could not be in better hands. Mahalo, Chief. Thank you.
Before we open it up for Q&A, I just wanted to recognize our air group. If we could have all of you guys come up. Not everyone is here today, but I feel like they're a little bit of a faceless, unsung heroes because they're always in the cockpit of the aircraft, and so we don't get to see them. It takes an incredible amount of skill, laser beam focus, ability to make split-second life or death decisions, and constantly assess risk. This is just a really impressive group. So we've got Senior Pilot Harris, who just spoke on first watch. We saw the helicopter take off moments ago. That's Relief Pilot Keha Clark. Not here today is Pilot Nainoa Siati, and your tender driver is Keola Koki. On second watch, you have Senior Pilot John Miwa, Pilot Zach Potter. Tender driver is not present today, but that's Firefighter 3 Jordan Santos. On third watch, we have Senior Pilot Joshua Yeager. Not present today is Pilot Justin Sato. Relief pilot is Billy, he's here somewhere. Okay, Billy Palaolelo. And the tender driver is Cliff Issa, Firefighter 3 Clifford Issa. So I just wanted to give them a little bit of recognition, and also Battalion Chief Robert Thurston is the program manager and the leader of this group, and his day job is also Battalion Chief of 5th Battalion, which runs the geographical area from about the airport to Sunset area. Thank you for your work and your service. Okay. Thank you. So we're going to open it up for about 15 minutes of Q&A. Immediately following, we'll have Senior Pilot Dustin Harris give a tour, a little show and tell of the aircraft.
training potentially, and how did it help itself, or did you guys hit the ground running or the air running?
Absolutely, training is essential, and actually on November 4th next week is when we're going to have the initial pilot training with the manufacturer, and after that is completed, two of our senior pilots already went to the mainland and got their training from the manufacturer. So our remaining 6 pilots will get trained, and once they're finished training with the manufacturer training module, then we have our own internal training processes to do, rescue operations, working with the bucket, picking up loads and things. So it'll take a while for us to get through all of those training modules, but we look forward to possibly in June being fully operational on firefighting and search and rescue types of operations.
The Lahaina wildfires was fueled by high winds. Will this be able to fly higher wind speeds?
Yes, in comparison to our current fleet, it can handle stronger winds, and that is a lot of because of the power margin that it has, having 2 engines. When you get strong winds fluctuating over the mountains, you need to have power to counteract that wind if you get a downflow of air. The current aircraft that we fly, we're basically always in the upper 10% of our power band, where we're right up against the red line. And so when you get that back in the mountains, you just don't really have any extra margin. This aircraft has a lot more power with the twin engine design to be able to operate in windier conditions in the mountains, and also, as I mentioned, with the rotor and the tail rotor, the stability that it offers. It's still a machine. There's limits to anything. Even the Chinooks that you see flying around out there, you can't fly them in a hurricane. So there is going to be a point where everything has its limit. But in comparison to what we are currently operating, we can operate in significantly higher winds and do it safely than what we have now.
Talk about the costs, how much was it, where the funding came from, and resulting in any savings because of the maintenance of the older?
We actually requested, we were appropriated $12 million in our CIP funding, and the actual cost came out to $10.6 million, so we had some savings in that. As far as maintenance costs, as our fleet ages, we put more into maintenance. Currently, we spend approximately $2 million to maintain our fleet. But according to our pilots and our program manager, this aircraft would need less maintenance downtime. So normally when our aircraft, they have a periodic maintenance depending on how much air hours that they have, 300, 100 or 300. This actually has less. So to maintain the aircraft, it would be a less of a maintenance cost in the upfront, yes.
Is there a higher range? Does it fly further than these other?
Yes, as Senior Pilot Harris said, it has the capability to actually go to the outer islands with the fuel, the capacity that it holds.
Yeah, you mentioned the possibility of responding across the state. What would the workflow or the process be for that? Because I think there was some communication issues with the Maui fire as far as resources going to Maui. So how would that step by step?
Well, usually we work through our Department of Emergency Management, who works through HAIMA. So when we went to Maui, it was the same process that we utilized. We put in the request, or Maui puts in the request through their Emergency Management Department, goes up to HAIMA, and then they go across to all of the counties, seeing if any of the counties can meet their request. So it'll probably be no different. The mayor and his staff actually put an emergency funding on the side. So in cases of what happened on Maui, whether we are requesting for help or another county is requesting for help, there's monies available that we can utilize to, pay for equipment or cost for our labor costs without having to wait to seek federal funding or sources from the state. So it's just those issues that we're trying to work on to ensure that when the call comes in, we can immediately respond and not have to worry about, the administrative things that come behind it.
About a year ago, I think, Mililani Maka fire. Was this an outgrowth, obtaining this helicopter, was that an outgrowth of that fire?
No, this actually started several years ago, and that's the vision. I mean, our air program and our pilots, they really educated the administration on how the aircraft, like Senior Pilot Harris mentioned, that we're operating at 90% capacity. It's like you're over-revving your engine all the time, and there's no room for any error. So they are very good at, again, educating the administration and knowing that this is the actual platform that we should be operating out of. And that is the vision, slowly over time, and we're going to try and do it as quickly as possible. But, you know, like anything else, the city has a lot of needs around, but we're going to put in our request in a timely manner, and hopefully we will have a transition period and our entire fleet will be of this twin engine type.
If you guys had this a year ago from the Mililani Aquifer, would it have greatly improved the response?
You know, that type of fire and the fuels and the location that it was operating under, we had Chinooks that had 1,000 gallons capacity. It's just the way the fire, where it was deep-seated, even after super heavy rains, you know, we really needed to actually get ground crews in there to, you know, work the perimeter. So I wouldn't say it would have had an impact maybe early on. And that's where usually we can make the greatest impact before it really spreads out. So I wouldn't say it wouldn't have an impact, but in that case, with the air assets that we had from state and federal partners, it wouldn't have made that much of a difference, in my opinion.
Did you ever find out what caused that fire?
No, it was still undetermined, I think. Yeah, still undetermined.
Still being investigated?
I think the investigation was completed, and I think it was undetermined.
When can we start seeing this flying?
Like I said, they're going to be training and going through the training module, so we hope to be fully operational by June, end of June.
Sorry, you guys, I think Pilot Harris said that you guys flew it back from the south?
You flew it from the south to the west coast, so it could be put on the boat to be shipped over.
How long was
Correct.
that trip?
So we, as Chief mentioned, as part of the training plan, myself and Senior Pilot Yeager went to the Bell Factory training near Fort Worth, Texas. So we had the full training course to get qualified on the aircraft, and then we picked it up in Piney Flats, Tennessee, which is like the far east side of Tennessee. And I flew it along with one of the pilots from Bell Helicopters. We went through Tennessee, Missouri, Kansas, Colorado, down through Utah, and into LA area, kind of Ventura, where we dropped it off. And at that point, it was prepared, put on a boat, and shipped over here. The flight itself was 3 days. Probably could have made it in 2, but it would have been long days, and we were trying to time it to get to the facility in California in the morning. Just administratively, that worked the best. But for me as a helicopter pilot, it was kind of eye-opening. The speed that this thing flies at comfortably and consistently is unlike anything I've ever been in. You know, in our current fleet, if we're going 90 to 100 knots, it feels like you're going too fast. We were cruising across the country with a ground speed of close to 160 knots for most of the time, and the helicopter did it easily and comfortably, which was very impressive.
What is the top speed?
It's 155 knots is the VNE. That can change depending on configuration. If you have doors open, doors closed. As you get higher in altitude, it's affected, but the easy answer is 155 knots is the top speed for it.
Has staffing been increased to accommodate the needs?
Yes, we are working with HR to add an additional pilot per platoon. So we currently have 2 pilots on duty per day, and that will increase to 3 very shortly.
So total for the whole aviation program?
9. We're going to have 9 total pilots, and then we're going to increase our relief pilot fleet as we promote people up.
Are there plans to train more than just the 9?
Yes, we have a relief pilot pool. So in discussions with Chief Thurston, we have a few individuals that is waiting to be trained up as soon as the promotions happen, and we can bring in new people into the program to be trained.
What is the number of helicopters you have in service right now?
We currently have 3 McDonnell Douglas 520s, and you know, this one coming online, we're going to have 4. But again, slowly over time, we're going to transition out. And the future, we feel that 3 of these aircraft should suffice for our operations into the future.
What's the weight capability of the hoist?
600 pounds. So it can, multiple people, yeah. And if you see most hoist configurations, oftentimes you have a rescuer and a victim both on the line together or being brought up into the aircraft, which I can easily accommodate with that weight limit.
In terms of water drops, what's the capacity?
It's 260 gallons. And one of the, again, compared to 96 from our current platform, so almost 3 times the amount of water. And one other feature with the bucket, because it's larger, we've entered a realm where we can have a bucket that's capable of opening and closing multiple times. What we have now, it's just a one-shot deal. You click the button, the bottom opens, all the water comes out. The bucket for this aircraft, we would be capable of making multiple spot drops with one bucket, so we could open it, close it, and disperse the water if needed, or you can just drop it all one time depending on the fire and the situation.
Okay, if no questions, thank you for your time, and you guys can come in and touch and feel our aircraft.